All right, I had to make a video because this is just so frustrating. I'm in the little sundry shop at a hotel. Such a great opportunity to support the gym they have here. But this is what I find. All right, they have 7 fridges. One has ice cream in it. This one's all beer and wine, cool. And soda, body armor, and then a bunch of different waters, electrolytes, Gatorade, sodas, a Red Bull fridge, 0 protein options. Then they have a whole thing of vegan jerky, but not a single regular jerky. You get into the sweets and whatnot. There's more stuff over here, candy. This is all to be expected and pretty normal. Gifts, whatnot. Vegan jerky, no real jerky. And then nuts, and these are all energy bars, not a single protein bar. There's this thing protein, this is high protein because it has 20 grams. That's it? That's the best you can do? Really? Now here's the part I want to explain from a business standpoint as to why I don't understand this. Hotel revenue managers, food and beverage managers, I hope you're paying attention. I will pay a premium for high protein options while I am on property. Instead, I'm going for a half a mile walk to go to a CVS to give them my money. So why is this being overlooked? It's very obvious that people in the wellness sector are willing to spend more money than most people, but yet you guys are making us leave the property to go spend our money elsewhere. Missed opportunity, guys. Come on.
Welcome to the Sustainable Hospitality Podcast, where we interview industry leaders in all areas of sustainable hospitality and tourism. I am your host, Kathy Sue McGuire, President and CEO of Sustainable Hospitality Solutions. We specialize in gaining internationally recognized eco certifications for hotels, venues, events, and destinations. Enjoy the episode. Welcome, everyone. I can't wait to have a conversation with David Stevens, who is an events and wellness entrepreneur. Welcome, David.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation too.
Good. Tell us about yourself and what you're up to.
Yeah, I usually jokingly say I'm a 20-year recovering corporate planner. So I spent a couple decades in the events world in various capacities. I've worked in association and entertainment, concert tours, sports, and I spent the last few years at a number of different corporate roles. One of those roles was at 24 Hour Fitness, running all their internal meetings and events and their incentive trip. And I tee that up because that was a fairly fundamental thing that was a catalyst in launching this agency formally. And now I am a co-founder at a community called Club Ichi, which is the only B2B event and field marketer community out there. I'm also the co-founder in Olympian Meeting, and I'm an advisor for the Wellness and Travel and Tourism Board as well. So, yeah, I'm busy.
And where are you located?
My stuff lives in Austin, Texas, and that's the airport I fly in and out of the most.
So you do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, very easily clearing 100,000 miles a year in airline miles, which I know is not sustainable, but at least it's not private.
Well, that's the thing, we're getting there. And I don't, sometimes I have to travel and I don't like to fly, not because I'm afraid of it. It's just I feel like a sardine in a can. I have a little bit of claustrophobia, so I don't enjoy it at all. But we do have to fly around sometimes, and we do need to enjoy our life, and we do need to, travel for business sometimes. So, I never have a problem with that. So you're okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So tell us about, let's start with Olympian. Give me maybe some examples of what you've been doing there and what kind of, events you've had.
Yeah.
And the wellness that you incorporate into them.
Yeah. So we call ourselves a wellness first events agency. And what that means is we do corporate meetings, events, conferences, sales kickoffs, incentive trips, user conferences, et cetera, et cetera. But we start with wellness. And our thing is, I mean, if someone wanted to pay us to do a retreat, fine, but that's not really our angle. We're not doing yoga retreats and things of that nature primarily. We're talking corporate conferences for 1,500 people or a sales kickoff in New Orleans for 1,300 people. But our differentiator and what makes us unique is that we start with wellness as a strategy so that those business meetings are more effective. It's this weird thing that happens when people are well slept, well fed, well moved, and well connected. They learn more. And as I jokingly say when I do some of my public speaking, it's not rocket science, but it is neuroscience.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just take better care of people and don't run them into the ground, they're going to take a lot more information back and probably not need time off after your conference.
That makes a lot of sense. Wellness is very important to me because I'm kind of like a fussy personality, and I don't sleep well in hotels. I'm not comfortable on the plane. I've been told I'm, a little fussy, but at least I don't have a hissy fit over it. I keep it to myself.
I have a great episode of my podcast for you to listen to where I interviewed a sleep doctor about how to get great sleep on the road. So I'll
Oh,
send
I'm going
that
to
to
have
you.
to list. Yeah, send that to me. I need it for sure. Maybe I wouldn't avoid traveling as much as I try to.
Well, but I will say there's a thing called first night syndrome. It's real. And your first night in a strange place is you're never going to get your best sleep. And I think it's one of those things where if you come to terms with it then you might surprise yourself by getting better sleep than you expected to.
That sounds great. I look forward to that. So, what kinds of things do you incorporate into these meetings that you have? And
Yeah,
also, I want to know: are you choosing the location, or is the person that wants the meeting or retreat? It's a little of both.
kind of
Sometimes you're
depends.
asked, sometimes they choose.
Yeah, it depends on where we are in the planning cycle. Sometimes they find out about us down the road. Sometimes they talk to us first. And I will say, from a negotiation standpoint, starting with it is way easier because then we can negotiate as part of the RFP, right? Like we can ask for the things that we know we're going to want out of the gate instead
Hmm.
of kind of like square peg round hole all the way down the road, and they've already got a venue and they have a food and beverage minimum and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We like to negotiate coffee prices in advance. That's one of the things that you can save a ton of money.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we focus on what we call it the 4 M's: mindfulness, movement, meaning, and meals. And we start with mindfulness because when you think mindfulness, most people automatically go to meditation. And while that's great, we think about mindfulness slightly differently in way of being mindful of the participant experience. And what is the organizer asking of the people that are coming to their event?
Hmm.
That goes into agenda design, that goes into break duration, that goes into social connection, and it impacts sleep, right? Because all those things, how the room is built, all those things have to be done kind of on the front end, but you're being mindful of what this person's experiencing throughout the way. We like to use this term experiential in the events world. And the truth of the matter is, every event is an experience. It's just up to your organizer if it's going to be a good one or not. So,
Right.
mindfulness is what we like to start with because that builds the framework for all the other wellness things to succeed.
Hmm.
Um, Case in point, I went to a conference once where the sound bowl session was the same time as the breakout sessions. So now I had to choose between that or education. And you shouldn't have to choose. It's not an either
Right.
or. It's a yes and. So
Yes.
so mindfulness is one. Movement is pretty straightforward, but it can be done. The big thing is it has to be approachable. You have to bring in the right instructors. You have to offer a big enough variety of modalities so that everyone can participate, regardless of what movement means to them. Right. So it doesn't matter if if you and I and someone who is in a wheelchair all show up to the same morning HIIT class, that instructor needs to be prepared for anyone and everyone. So we take that very seriously, and we ensure that we bring in the right people for that. We also think about movement when it comes to the way the room is built and where the sessions are throughout the venue, and giving people the opportunity to actually get some steps in instead of just being locked in a dark ballroom for hours on end, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to meet anyone who enjoys that. It's when we really pause and you learn what's good for sleep, and then you look at the way a ballroom is designed most of the time, ballrooms are usually designed for sleep. Yeah, we want people to pay attention. They're cold, they're dark, and that's like what you want when you're sleeping.
Yes.
We're designing them wrong. So
Yes.
So we think about movement, and it's little things like just adding standing tables or like high boys at the back of the room, because people are going to stand. We all know this. So by putting those high boys at the back of the room, they know they're seen. And all of a sudden you have someone who has a little more buy-in on the program, because you're literally holding space for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's movement. Also, there's the psychological and physiological benefits of movement in the morning impacts learning. So we're big
Mm-hmm.
evidence-based people. I'm married to a physician, so I can't get away with ethereal ideas. There's got to be papers and studies to back it up. Otherwise, I will get
Mm-hmm.
called out. So that's movement. Meals is pretty straightforward, but it's really about providing people options. Going back to that yes and. It's not about stripping down the buffet and only feeding people grilled chicken and steamed broccoli, because you would have a mutiny. But back to my 24 days, I used to have meetings for people that ran gyms and that were professional bodybuilders and things of that nature. They were in different places when they would show up to a meeting. Some people were trying to lose weight. Some people were trying to gain weight. Some people were having they call them refeed days. They don't call them cheat days anymore. So I had to accommodate all that full span of food, because that person who's on a refeed day, that's their day of sanity, where they can kind of like do whatever they want. They don't have to think about it. And they want to eat the things that they don't get to eat the other 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about meeting people where they are, let alone understanding food allergies and things of that nature. Meals are such an important time to bond and to share something. So when people feel excluded, be it by only offering a row of beige food that's all been fried, and someone wants to eat healthy, so they leave your event to go find food, or if it's an allergy that you didn't accommodate for and they have to leave and go find food, you're isolating people at that point. So meals is critical. And then the last one is meaning. We all know what happens in the afternoon after lunch, right? We go through, the clinical term for it is a postprandial dip, but it's that slump. It's because you've had it's part of your circadian rhythm and you've eaten. So you go into rest and digest, or your parasympathetic nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
and you're down a little bit. And that's okay. That's natural. That's everyone in the room feels that. So what we like to do is incorporate some type of give back or social connection opportunity to help people connect to something bigger than themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we mean when we say meaning. Is it's either volunteering, it's working on team goals together. It's not the sit and get format of a meeting. It is an interactive time when we can give people potentially a helper's high, or just connect them with other people so that they leave realizing that they are a part of something bigger than themselves. And I'll pause there.
I love that, the four M's. I want to ask you, do you Are surveys sent out ahead of time? I know meal surveys usually go out to to the people who are going to join the meeting, like, are you vegan, vegetarian, that sort of thing. But do you gather more information than just for meals?
Yeah, actually, that's a big thing that we're one of the few people that do, that I encourage people to do, is include your wellness offerings in your registration form, and include everything and another box. Because we had one client who, it turned out that there was this group of, like, it was an executive group. There was a subgroup though of 20 of them who were super into this. It was out of London. It was this new up and coming fitness trend that was, I can't remember what it's called now, but it felt like it was a mix between like Zumba and CrossFit or something like that. And we flew the instructor in because there weren't any in the US. They lost their minds. They're like, I've been wanting to try this for so long because I've
Mm,
seen it on social media. There are no classes. And so we just flew the instructor in.
I
But
love that.
we wouldn't have known if we didn't ask. And the beautiful thing, to get into logistics and operations and blah, 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 when you ask people what they want to do, you know how many people are going to potentially come. You know they're actually going to show up because they're into it. They chose it.
Mhm.
You know how big of a room you need. You know how much AV you'll need, if any. You'll know if you need multiple instructors. You'll know, like the list. You know everything you need to know to ensure you're prepared. It's the same reason people ask people to sign up for breakouts, right? So that they know, oh, there's like 300 people that signed up for this breakout. We need to have a good size room for it, versus there's 50 people that signed up for this breakout, so we can put it in a smaller room. Same thing.
Well, well, what you've done is not only you've personalized it for them, so you've already engaged them that you care about their experience when they come to this thing, and they're already bought in, so to speak. So it's like stakeholder engagement. If a company does something wrong, if they've had good stakeholder engagement and a good reputation for a long time, they'll kind of give you a little leeway. They'll kind of forgive you a little bit. They'll still buy your brand, whatever product or service it is, because it's like, well, they've been real good. They made a mistake and that sort of thing. So it already gives you higher scores before they even arrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what all this, that's the whole point of all this, right? Is you want people to leave with more information than they normally leave with in their brains. They feel like they got more value because they left remembering more. 9 times out of 10, you ask someone after a conference, what was your favorite part? And they're like, going to my room. Um, and,
Sad.
um, and the other thing is, they fill out better survey scores because they're happier. Oh, I can't believe I missed this, and I apologize. The other thing with meals is making sure your evenings have calorically conscious, zero proof cocktails. Because the worst thing, once again, it goes back to isolation, right? Like the person who shows up who doesn't drink, and promote them.
Mhm.
Because 9 times out of 10, you walk up to the bar and they have all the stuff on the rail, right? And you order
Yeah.
based on what you see. Have those out, have them in fun glasses. Think about how much sugar is going into them, but
Yeah.
have it out so someone goes, oh, what's that? But more importantly, if you can, identify and pre promote that you are going to have enjoyable, calorically friendly, zero proof beverages, because those people that don't drink are very used to being, as a friend of mine put it, othered and not
Mm.
being seen. So
Yeah.
if you do it, be active about promoting it so that people know they're seen.
Like the non-alcoholic and beer and wine and the kombucha, things like that that are.
Maybe not wine. It's not good enough yet. There's some sparkling
Oh,
that's
really?
getting there, but
I've not tried it.
I'd skip the wine currently, and if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, someone please reach out to me, and I'm excited to try it. I've had a couple sparklings that are okay, but non-alcoholic wine has not gotten there yet.
When people reach out to you, is it because of the fact that you're a meeting planner, or is it because of what you offer that they're looking for that wellness, overall wellness component for their experience?
They're looking to get more out of their meetings or their events. They want to increase scores. They want something new. It, because we haven't met anyone that like we're doing this event for the first time. It's we need to up level what we're doing. We need to give our employees more. We need to give our customers more. We want them to have a better experience.
Have you found that because they want that, are they looking for a venue based on where they want to go, or that particular, like if it's a hotel, do they have a really visible wellness component to what they offer all the time anyway? That they're, what I find is like these these like you can get a green meeting certification. Well, that's silly to me. Oh, yeah, we can give you a green meeting, but your hotel, the other for everybody else, and for all your other days of the year, your hotel isn't green. I find that to be, I mean, that is crazy. It's like, oh, we can give you a green meeting, and then they start looking it up. What is a green meeting?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture because sometimes you like you're stuck with the availability of what's out there, right? Like we had
Mhm.
one client who we were really excited to take them to, and I'm going to name a property. Uh, it's not it's a little love. It's not a shame. They wanted to do a group of 350 people for a sales kickoff in like February, and
Mm.
they were looking at Caesars in Atlantic City because Caesars has a wellness menu. So they offer like, and they wanted the business. They wanted to bring them in. They wanted to showcase their food, their movement programs, et cetera, because they've built this menu so they can make it easier for meeting planners. But the client wanted to go somewhere that was warm, so we ended up in New Orleans. But the beautiful
Mm.
thing is, and they were too big for the Caesars Republic in New Orleans, so they ended up in a Marriott. But the our thing is we can do wellness anywhere. The
Mhm.
way this whole thing started is I did a sales kickoff in Las Vegas um, at well, before like wellness was like a thing, right? This was 22, I think we did this concept. I think a lot of people tend to overthink what wellness is, and they also seem to think, unfortunately, that it's expensive, and it really isn't. If you can do very small, simple things, it actually comes down to doing less over doing more.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge that most planners struggle with, is because, telling people the impact of sleep and the fact that chronically being under 6 hours of sleep, the health risks that induces, that that means less time on the agenda. That means less programming. But would we ever do that? No. Oh God, no, we can't do that. We're spending all this money. We have to give them as much information as we possibly can. It's counterintuitive sometimes, but you can do wellness anywhere, and that's why our clients come to us. That's why our
Mhm.
partners work with us, because we work with some agencies as well that, the event's already down the road, and the client goes, "Oh yeah, we want to do wellness." Crap. Okay. And so then they call us and we figure it out.
Well, that's one of the things about the misconception, and maybe maybe there's a lot to it. It's not a misconception that you can, people who have, a fair share of money can afford to go to places that are charging more. And the reason the places are charging more is because they can get the higher rates for their, wellness within their hotel or whatever. And, but it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just that wellness is now the new big thing. They're the cool kids on the block, which is great. And I think that, people who that don't have a lot of means think, oh, I couldn't afford to go there. And they're probably right. I mean, there's a place down the road for me right on the beach. And I looked up the price. I mean, it's all about wellness and everything. And I can't afford to go there. I'd love to do that. I mean, it's down the street from me, but can't afford to do that. So
I mean, we
that's
could
a little
do,
bit of a barrier. That's why it's great
and
what
I
you
think it's a
do.
preconceived barrier, to be honest. The meeting room would be the only constraint, but like there's no reason that we couldn't do a wellness first event at a Hampton Inn or a Fairfield Inn or a limited
Yeah.
service property. Like
Yeah.
I actually might be able to do better wellness there because the food and beverage minimum would be so low, and I could bring in different food that, costs the
You could
same but
cater it,
is, yeah,
have it catered in.
higher nutritional density than what
Yeah.
might otherwise get catered in. So there's not, it just comes down to, how bad do you want it? And when you start thinking about those 4 M's and you start thinking about the content and the food and sleep and meaning and social connection and all those things, you realize that while there's some great properties out there that make it really easy to do wellness, it can be done anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'm glad that's where we're trending. So let's segue to WIT. Tell us about
Yeah.
WITT, what it stands for, and your involvement and all that.
So I sit on their standards advisory board, and WIT is essentially lead certification in the wellness space for hotels. They focus on a number of disciplines. There are 7 of them, and I can't remember all of them off the top of my head now, but it comes down to they're looking at construction and if the building itself is sustainable and well taken care of, what kind of chemicals they're using in the cleaning, things of that nature, how much natural light there is, how much access to nature. One of the things that I love about the standards is there's a community element that they look at to find out, is this hotel giving back to the community? Do they do anything with the community, et cetera, et cetera? Movement and fitness is obviously a core component. How's the gym? Are there offerings for people of various activity levels, et cetera, et cetera? The food, does it meet all the nutritional, does it not just meet allergen requirements, but also nutritional requirements, things of that nature? So it's a 100-point audit that they go out and do at any given property. You just have to apply, and then someone will come out and audit the property and certify you whether you're WIT certified or not. They don't have
So it
tiers
is.
yet.
That was my next question. Is it one? You got to get all 100 points, or is it a pass fail?
It's a pass fail. It is not a grade. So because you might do really well in one category and not so well in another, but that doesn't mean that you're not a wellness forward hotel.
Could they still get certified?
Yeah, it's
Like,
really,
is it like 80% or something like that, or is it a percentage
yeah.
in
There's like
each category?
there's a threshold, and if you score above that threshold, then you're certified. But
Oh, okay,
as of
great.
now, I don't want to speak for them. As of now, it is only pass or fail.
Okay. So you're saying there's a threshold where you pass, but it's not 100%. Doesn't have to be
You
100%.
don't have to hit 100% in order to,
Okay.
because I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I am brutal when it comes to my reviews of hotel gyms.
Mhm.
And if you had to get all 100 points in order to pass, I don't know that there are very few of them on the list that would pass my standard of hotel gym.
Yeah, I understand that. If you go into any hotel gym, unless you're maybe in a really high end hotel. It pretty much looks like an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There's only so I do little hotel gym reviews in under a minute for fun on my social media, and the I have a whole playlist on YouTube. It I've only come across a couple like on a scale of 1 to 5, 5-star gyms. And it's Resorts World in Las Vegas, which is probably a little surprising to some people. Canyon
Mhm.
Ranch, the spa inside the Venetian, their gym used to be a solid 5. They're redoing it, so I'm guessing it will probably stay a 5. So it's
Yeah.
weird. Two of the best gyms I've ever been to are in Vegas, of all places.
Wow.
The other one is the TWA Hotel at JFK. It's because it's a gym. It's not a hotel gym. They we can segue into something else in a second here, but they have people who are members of that gym that don't stay at the hotel. They've turned
Ah,
their gym into a revenue stream for people who work at the airport.
yeah. That's
So,
great.
and then the other one is the Wave Hotel in at Lake Nona in Orlando. They technically have two gyms. They have one that's in the hotel, and then they have partnered with the Lake Nona Human Performance Center, which is they have a Deepak Chopra spa and all this other craziness that is wild. But TWA Hotel is inexpensive. Resorts World you can get probably cheaper than usual right now because Vegas is going through its own thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Venetian Palazzo somewhere in the middle. It's not like, but I also have never been to the Wynn, so I don't know if it's nicer or not.
Mhm.
Um, and the Wave at Lake Nona, like these aren't luxury properties, and they're some of the best gyms I've been to. And I've been to Ritz Carltons, I've been to St. Regis's, I've been to, I just stayed at a JW Marriott this week, and the gym was great, but it was still only a 4.
Ah.
So
You
yeah,
you know what
sorry.
I find is gyms in general are not built for women. I mean, I don't know what your experience is with that, but they're not the machines. There's no instruction on. I went to the exercise coach. Are you familiar with that franchise?
No.
Where where oh, it's really great because they only allow 4 people in the group at a time, or you can get one-on-one coaching, and it's like a circuit thing. But when you first go in, they measure everything. They measure your distance, where how far it is from your buttocks to your knee, and then from your knee to your foot, and they take note of that. It's all computerized. They put it in with your pen. They put it in a computer system. They test what your benchmark uh, baseline is. What is your
Right.
baseline? What can you push? What can you pull? All of that they do all, and they put it into the system, and the system or on that machine each has a computer, and it gives you a green line to follow. It's like, try to hit that green line. That's where you're going to improve. And so it's it's all personalized, because when
Love
I go
that.
to a gym, I don't know where my seat should be in relation to where my body is. And I just think it's just a wonderful thing I'd like to see. And when you go to these big franchise gyms, like Gold's Gym, my my son goes to Gold's Gym, and it's the big bodybuilding thing, which I could tell by looking at you. You do that. It's intimidating to the rest of us. So I go to Planet Fitness because
So,
it's like it's all older people, and
well, I thought they offered like fitness training where they had people roaming the floor to help you with stuff. Do they not offer that?
well, at maybe they do at Gold's. I don't know. I
No,
asked
no.
my
Planet
it,
Fitness. I've seen
well,
the
they
ads
used
that.
They used to, but after the pandemic, we don't have a trainer there because they said they can't find anybody to fill the spot.
Hmm.
Maybe they're not paying enough. I don't know. I mean, my membership is $10 a month. I don't know how they're in business for that. So maybe that's why they can't afford to even
Well, we
have
could
one
get into a
trainer
whole
in there.
conversation about gym business models, but I think that's another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So let's I want to ask you again about the WIT program. Is that something that is in the US, or are they
It's
outside the
international.
US? It's internet. Well, let me ask it another way. I find that a lot of these things, sustainability, green certifications, I mean, are developed elsewhere, either Canada or in Europe, and we're slow to adopt here because it's not based here. Um, is WIT here local in
Yeah,
the US?
it's US
Oh,
based, but they
okay.
certify internationally.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Well, that's great because a lot of these things come from outside the US predominantly. So what else do you do? What else are you working on or that you're involved in? What's next for your future?
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm heavily involved with that is a good chunk of my time is the Club Ichi group. Um, I've had some really great guests on the podcast this year that have talked about the importance of social connection and how it directly impacts our physical health. I've
Mhm.
had both a psychiatrist and a psychologist who they know each other, which is how that worked out. Um,
Uh-huh.
but the psychologist, she helped, well, she was the lead author and researcher on the Surgeon General's declaration of loneliness becoming an epidemic in our country
Mhm.
that came
Yes.
out, I think, the year before last. And her friend, the psychiatrist, actually studied the clinical impacts of loneliness and isolation on physical health. And what's really interesting to me is that tells a tremendous story about why events and meetings and conferences are so important. And what I love about this group called Club Ichi is everyone is welcomed. They have this they have this term called eyebrows up. And
I love that.
when I first heard it, I was like, what does that mean? And she and Liz Lathan, one of the co-founders, looks at me and goes, "What's the face you make when you see a baby?"
Yeah.
She goes, "That's the face when we see everyone walk in the door." And that makes them feel welcome. And then they used to have this magazine back in the day called Hug Life. It is, but it's all designed about human connection. Even like the first meal is designed to be a family meal at their events, family style meal, so that people get to know each other and have conversations with each other. The whole idea is that people, it's facilitated connection. And what's wild is I've known Liz and Nicole with Club Ichi for almost a decade now, and I knew what they did was special. But when I interviewed Dr. Julianne Holt Lundstad, who's the psychologist, and then I interviewed her friend, Dr. Kelly Harding, MD, and she's the psychiatrist. They talked about how social connection impacts health and well-being and lifespan. You want to talk about longevity and lifespan and all that. It
Mhm.
actually impacts health span over lifespan. So it is what they do there is so special because, and I didn't realize what they were doing was so backed by science. So
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
most recent guest I met, Dr. Kelly Harding, is she told me she has a book called the Rabbit Effect, and I was like, where did this name come from? And she goes, well, I was doing my thesis or something of that nature. She's so much smarter than me, and I don't know these things, but she was
Yeah.
doing some research, and they were talking about all these different effects. And she found this study that they did in rabbits back in the 70s, where they were feeding all these rabbits a high fat diet because in the 70s, we were still learning about nutrition, right? Doctors didn't know about nutrition. It wasn't part of the thing. And anyways,
It's
and
still
there is
not.
this, huh?
Nutrition in medical school is still not prevalent.
But, right.
Yeah, that's another story.
So they, but the subset of rabbits was, which was 60, they were having a 60% variance from what the other rabbits were having. And they were trying to figure out why. They thought something was wrong with the test, blah, blah, blah. It was, what it turned out was one of the clinicians was picking the rabbits up and holding them and petting them and talking to them and showing them like love and affection.
Oh,
And it was it was such a huge difference. There's been decades of research to support this now, that kindness and connecting with other people changes people's health. And so to me, that's why something in our industry like Club Ichi is so critical, because and what both of them talked about was, and they're both professors as well, is they do connection before content. So they do facilitated networking before they sit down and start a class. And that's exactly what Liz and Nicole do at Club Ichi, is they connect people before content is ever delivered, let alone the way they deliver content is totally different as well. But
yeah,
they are doing inherently what some of the brightest minds in social connection are doing in their very own classrooms. And that is just, to me, that there is nothing better than that. It's so good that I can't help but be a part of it in any and every way I can.
that sounds exciting. When my son was very young, I'm so glad I heard this. The author Toni Morissette or Morrison, I'm sorry, I can't recall.
Okay.
She said, "Do your eyes light up when your child enters the room?" And I'm so glad my child was so young that I learned that, because I made sure it hit me. And I made sure every time I saw him, "Hey, what are you doing?" or something like that. Just face light up. Like you're and
Yep.
so many people don't do that, but I think that had a profound effect on him. He's 32. We're so close today. It's that he says, "Mom, none of my friends are close to their moms or their parents like we are." And so it goes a long way. Are you glad to see me? Do I matter? Am I important? You
Right.
know, yeah.
Yeah. And this directly impacts our industry, right? We're in the job of bringing people together. So,
Hospitality.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of events that aren't very hospitable.
Oh yeah, I can
So,
see that.
so that's, I mean, some people are like, well, how does that even, and I'm like, there is a direct correlation between these two things, because social connection impacts physical health and mental health. And that's a big thing that, Dr. Julianne Holt-Lundstad is working on, is the fact that social health is, she's calling it the third determination of health span, because you have your
Hmm.
physical health, which is taking
Hmm.
care of the machine, right? Like your
Yeah.
cholesterol and what you eat and how you move and blah, blah, blah. You have your mental health, which is reliant on your physical health. Are you challenging yourself? Do you learn new things, et cetera, et cetera? And then
Hmm.
social health impacts both of those things.
Yeah. They're all, it's a three-legged stool. They're all connected, to how you
Very
feel, how
much
you
so.
think, and how you treat others and how you're treated. So it's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad to get to know you, and I've learned new things. Usually, I get a little arrogant. It's like I know everything about sustainability and wellness and all that, but I've never heard of the thing. I've never, because I immerse myself in it, but I've never heard of these things, and I'm really glad to know it. I'm going to definitely include you in my wellness series that I have coming up for the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time. And is there anything, any closing remarks, anything you'd like to share with us before we leave?
I mean, take care of each other.
Be kind.
Yeah. Kindness costs nothing. Sometimes it's tougher to do than other days, but there is no hard cost when it comes to kindness.
Terrific. That's a great place to end it. Thank you, David.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sustainable Hospitality Podcast. If you're ready to take meaningful action and set your property apart as a leader in sustainability, my company, Sustainable Hospitality Solutions, is here to help. Our Achieving Green Keys certification training program provides hotels with a clear step-by-step path to earning this internationally recognized eco certification. Please go to sustainablehospitalitytraining.com. Thank you.